This is a video about physical media. Is it good? Is it bad? Blah, blah, blah. Physical media time. Let's get into it. Physical media means a lot to me. I'm pretty sentimental about it, got a lot of sentimentality, excessive emotions connected, attached to physical media. When I was an infant, all right, we're talking younger than 5. Some of my very first memories are of a room full of nothing but VHS tapes. And this room was at my grandfather's house. I would spend the summer there with him. He lived in Danbury, Connecticut, and he had an entire room that seemed gigantic to me as a child. I don't even have an earthly idea of how large the actual room was, but the dimensions of it to my infant brain was just massive and huge, and just, oh, my mind was exploding. It was just covered wall to wall with shelves of VHS tapes and like little cardboard cutouts from like movie theaters and stuff, advertising the next Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. Every one was numbered like 1 to 1,000. Like there were so many fucking movies, and then it was all inventoried on his old school Macintosh, and he printed it all out into a list as well. I was just so enamored by how many films were there, how many movies were there. That's the start of truly how I came to fall in love with films so much. I think that I learned how to read at a really young age, and I think a great motivator was so that I could read the side of the VHS tape, so I could read the movie inventory catalog that he printed off of his computer, off of Excel, so I can read it, so I can actually read the names on the box and the words on the back of it. It's kind of why I learned how to read as fast as I did. I could spell Schwarzenegger at like 4 years old, man. I could spell Michelle Pfeiffer's name. My grandfather shared his movie collection with me as a kid, and I totally fell in love with it. I think that films are all about the shared experience. Just like a bookshelf, right? If I go to someone's house and I see some DVDs or Blu-rays, 4Ks, VHSs, Laserdiscs, I'll definitely go through it as if I were looking at a bookshelf. I feel like it tells some interesting things about the person that you're trying to get to know. I believe that films are like this kind of shared iconography, the shared language that we all have, and all of that romantic stuff. So I think that looking over someone's collection tells you a lot about the person. I also like physical media collecting because a lot of movies can become really hard to find. Scarcity is a real thing with films. Not only can studios edit pre-existing films, so it's nice to own the original versions, but I like a lot of foreign films. I like some B movies, and they might have like one DVD run, one DVD printing, and then when that's gone, those fucking used DVDs cost upwards of like $80 to $100. Becomes really difficult to find. Yeah, the concept of a home library is really cool. I like the idea of access to art, and if you have a home library, you have access to your own curated collection of art. I like physical media. I don't know, I've never counted because I don't keep my collection in very good shape, because there's a part of me that doesn't like the physical media obsession that has ruled a large part of online film communities. But like regardless, I still own, I don't know, maybe 50, 60 Criterions, a lot of Shout Factory or Scream Factory releases. I got a couple Arrows, I go to the boutique labels, bro. I own a lot of movies, and I like owning them most. I like having that feeling that I have my own copy of this piece of art that means a lot to me. And normally what I do is I like to show films to friends, movie nights, things like that. So it's always about sharing the experience. I may have spent $30 on a Criterion disc, but I'm sharing that with as many people as I can who would benefit from the experience. Then we talk about it after, and then the shared language of the film becomes a shared language of our friendship or relationship. I like physical media. Sometimes I fall for all of that physical media advertising bullshit. I mean, my kink is hot people in the Criterion closet. There's no shame in my game. Now, there are things that are unlikable about physical media, especially physical media collectors. Immediately, we get into conversations about art as commodity. about consumerism, especially when I look at other people within the film community online. It seems like they get really hyper focused on the physical media collecting and Blu-ray or DVD hunting aspect of the film community, which I think is the least significant part of the film community. You know, I see some people's channels and it's like, am I watching a film channel? Am I watching a cinephile? Or am I watching like shopping vlogs? You know? Like what am I doing? What am I doing? Why am I watching you fucking go to Walmart or just sit at your computer and order from Amazon.com? Like what benefit am I getting from here? This isn't a celebration of movies, it's a celebration of overconsumption. Also, I brought up boutique labels, Criterion. I think that many groups are often priced out of the film community, out of the physical media collecting community, priced out of the best representations and restorations of great art. Like that has to just be disagreeable in your core, even of the most ardent supporter of physical media. But being a film lover is all about the shared experience. If you have the means and you have a home library full of countless titles, then you should kind of be creating new cinephiles. That's where I forgive quite a few of these YouTubers who I just kind of made fun of a little bit. At least they are sharing their library with people. They are sharing titles, sharing movies that they love. I just think that like my issue with those kinds of content creators is that the passion for film gets lost in all of the commotion for the hunting for them, for the actual shopping experience, which is like anti-romantic. There's nothing less romantic than Black Friday vlogs, right? There's nothing less romantic than that. There's nothing that turns me off of film communities more than that. But at least they are sharing something with a film community. What I want people to do more than anything are share the films with those closest to you, friends and family. Sometimes great friends can be made over a great film. You know, it's a decent icebreaker. You know, pick something fun for that icebreaker, though. Don't throw on Andre fucking Rublev. They might not talk to you after. I wouldn't. I wouldn't want anything to do with your weird ass. Pick something fun, dude. I think that I have been a little backhanded about physical media on the channel, but if you watch my film reviews, I think more often than not, I'm holding a physical copy of the movie, so I clearly have a decent amount of Blu-rays, DVDs, and VHSs. And I like the idea of buying physical media when you can, when you're able to. I like the idea of buying books. I also have a bunch of books. I don't believe in overconsumption. Watch what you buy. I not only watch what I buy, but I make analysis videos about them. Sometimes I make group analysis videos about them, get the most out of the money that I spend, and hopefully even more out of the people that I share them with. More out of my own personal growth. Like I hardly ever spend more than $10 on a movie that I don't think will have some sort of profound impact on me. So like think about what you're purchasing. I think it is like kind of obscene how expensive physical media is getting because boutique labels and publishers are kind of realizing that they can charge cinephiles an actual arm and a literal leg for some of these titles, and they will cough up the money. Like that's obscene. A lot of what these companies are doing is obscene, and I think it is pricing out large groups of people. And if I care so much about access to art, I have to find it incredibly not only disagreeable but reprehensible to pay over $50 for any fucking title. Like that's stupid. That's insane. To demand that from a public who are wanting access to restorations and great filmic representations of good art. And that's where we have to be careful about art as a commodity. We don't want art to become commodified. So when we're buying these films, we need to understand that we are holding plastic. We are holding a representation of the film itself, not the actual film. We're holding a facsimile of the film, a representation, a copy of the film. The experiential quality is actually watching it, and some of these companies do a great job with their representations of the film, of the image and the sound. The important part of this is the experience of the film itself and the sharing of the film itself. So try as hard as you can to keep art from being a commodity. You know, those annoying people who have a bunch of books in their house that they've never read, but they all have a similar color scheme. It's all for aesthetic. Art as aesthetic is fucking nauseating, and we should all kind of reject that immediately when we feel it coming on. At least I think that Blu-rays and DVDs and VHSs are like less cool. So I think less people are doing that for the clout or doing that for the reputation. I think that physical media collectors actually do kind of love movies, or maybe they have that weird sentimental story that I front loaded this video with, of growing up surrounded by it, and it was how they first learned about great art. So when I talk about physical media, I remember the infant me and how that was my introduction to at least popular cinema. It's not like my grandfather was carrying like Godard films or Agnes Varda movies. You know, he didn't have like a complete fucking Bergman section or anything, but he had the basic essentials of American popular cinema. And it was a great early education in film history, and film theory, and film structure, in film criticism, in the shared experience of film. Some films will mean everything to me simply because I did watch them with family when I was like younger than 5 years old, you know, for no good reason apart from that. You know, there's a strong sense of devotion attached to physical media, insofar as my earliest introductions to the form that would overwhelm my life, and I'd be devoted to forever, was because of a room just dedicated to VHS tapes. So when I talk about loving physical media, I keep that infant version of me in my head and kind of remember how magical it was. And I didn't view it as like a commodity or as a bunch of products on a shelf. I was too young to fucking care about politicizing that sort of cinematic baptism, right? I cared about the experience itself. Sometimes I cared about how cool the cover looked, but that was part of the experience, or at least part of the popular filmmaking experience, and the purchasing experience of the 80s and 90s as well, that blockbuster kind of culture. But I think of how I first fell in love with it. And I hope that's the way it seems to people who never really had a lot of exposure to great films, no matter the age, when they walk into someone's house and they just, I hope they're blown away by a wall full of titles that most of them they've never even heard before. And suddenly there's all this access to these concepts called like world cinema or art house, new wave, neo-realism, postmodern, just great titles up there. And all of a sudden they have a friend who has access to all of these works that seemed so impossible to discover before. Like, it's the job of the physical media collector to not only collect physical media, but to collect experience, to collect memories, to collect new cinephiles, man. That's the only way you can justify buying so many movies, as if you share as much of your love as you possibly can. So I am an avid supporter of physical media. I just definitely like to criticize how I see physical media collecting being demonstrated and displayed online on YouTube and Instagram and other anywhere where film fans can just post pictures of basically what they bought in a receipt. Like, fucking fuck off, okay? For 1 second, like, fuck off with that. I fully support physical media collecting, but there has to be some sort of like you're a librarian at that point. Once you have a home library, act like a librarian. You know? Act like an actual librarian, dude. Help your friends discover the film that will speak to them most eloquently. Do that, and you can change the world, and you can save movies, because movies need you. Movies need your help. I think everyone should have the opportunity to see a Pedro Almodovar movie before they die. You owe it to yourselves to do that. But hell, a private library is fine. Do what you like. If you have difficulty connecting with people, but you love the moving image and your friends are Jimmy Stewart and Jean Arthur, that's completely fine. If that's your social life, I'm not a therapist, but maybe seek a little bit of therapy. But that's fine. Do what you want, do what you like. As long as the films are being watched and as long as you're experiencing something real from your collection, then the collection is serving a purpose or a function. I think physical media collecting is important. I do think it can be pretty expensive, but if you have the means to afford to buy a couple films every couple months, then you should feel happy about that. You should enjoy the films and you should try to convince as many other people as you can to enjoy the movie too. Maybe not to actually buy it. I don't care about physical media itself, like as an industry. I care about film as an art form, first and foremost. Right? I think more people will be more interested in buying physical media if more physical media collectors were more convincing with their passion for film, like or express their passion for film in a way that didn't feel like an advertisement for a big box retail store or Amazon.com. Like if you can just make people fall in love with film, then all the bells and whistles should kind of follow suit. And while I support physical media collecting, it is a trinket. It is a bell and a whistle, right? It's not what truly, actually, legitimately matters. What matters is the experience and how you experience it. What matters is the audience, and the audience matters most of all. But all in all, physical media collecting is pretty fucking cool. I love going to someone's house and just seeing movies there. It just thrills me. It doesn't matter if there's 4 movies or 400. I love seeing them because then I'm like, oh, I know this person. I know this person. And even if that chick, that dude's like, those are like my older brothers. He just left them to me. I'm like, I still learning about you, dude. You don't know. You don't know. I'm fucking psychoanalyzing you right now. I'm learning you so well. You can learn so much that way. Yeah, there's nothing hotter to me than than a person with a half decent physical media collection. So, yeah, that's my thing. That's my hang up. But I'm going to end the video here. Thank you so much for watching.